Hello, everyone. We are live. Welcome to one of the last 3 sessions of the 2024 Authortube Writing Conference. I'm here to talk about creating a Notion Mastermind to track all things writing, which is a very long title. And honestly, when I submitted my description to the AWC, I didn't check to see what it would look like on YouTube, and it was just under the word count limit for YouTube itself. And I was just like, oh no. So thank you for joining me today. Who am I and what am I to talk about this? For those who don't know, my name is Sky. I am a fantasy author who typically writes paranormal romance under the name S.D. Haggis. And off and on my channel, I have talked about Notion, my Notion project, which I have worked on off and on for 2+ years, give or take. I tend to go months where I work on it daily for like weeks and months at a time, and then I just don't look at it again for a while. I'm constantly changing it. I'm constantly updating it. I think I've finally gotten it to a point where I am like almost 100% happy with it. However, that being said, Notion is constantly adding stuff to it. And I'm like, ooh, shiny, must add that. So that's always fun too. So my first question for you guys in the chat, and I will be hopping back and forth. If you have any questions, make sure you put a Q in front of them. And I will try to answer them at the end of this with a Q&A portion. I am trying to work fast because I only have 20 minutes. So if I go too fast for you, I apologize. But my first question is, are you aiming for indie, trad, or hybrid publishing? Because this does affect what kind of stuff you are going to track in your Notion. For me personally, I am mostly indie. I have been published with some small presses in the past. So technically, I think you could call me a hybrid. I have done charity anthologies. I've done paid anthologies with small presses. I have also been published with a small press before they closed their doors. So that all does affect the kind of things you will want to put in your Notion trackers. Because there is going to be different information. Like for those who are doing trad publishing, which I have no experience in, so I apologize. I'm not going to be talking about anything that you could track in here other than what I'm going to possibly suggest right now, which is query letters sent, publishing companies you're interested in looking in, agents you're interested in looking in, that kind of stuff. You might be able to track in Notion, but I have no examples of that information because I don't personally go that route. The next thing to think about, and this was a little bit what I just talked about, is what are some major things you want to track? For me, I had to make a list. I have multiple pen names. I do publish mainly under S.D. Haggis. That's all things fantasy, whether it's paranormal romance, romance fantasy, epic fantasy, all of that is encompassed under one pen name. But I do have other pen names that I like to follow as well. And the other things I wanted to track were like, I have multiple series that I'm working on. I have multiple standalone novels I'm working on. I have, oh, okay. The audio is not working. Is everyone able to hear me? Just out of curiosity. Black screen. What the heck is going on? Interesting. Because I have the camera on. It shows it's on. Well, this isn't cool. Well, at least there's audio. Because it shows that my camera's on. I just stopped the camera. It should show my face. Is anyone seeing that out of curiosity? I'm glad I checked the chat. But while I'm waiting for that, since the audio is working, I'm going to go ahead and continue, which sucks because I had visuals to show as well. You can see my icon. Okay. I'm going to try switching back to the camera and we'll see if this will work. Otherwise, I'll just stay in avatar mode and I won't be able to show you half the things I want to show you, which is fine. Okay. So as far as your lists go, just think about what all you want to track. Um, as far as, like I said, for myself, that I want to do series, and I want to do anthologies and collections because, again, I've been part of different anthologies and I plan on putting out various collections. The other things I wanted to track were see, now that's throwing me off. Like, as far as Tiff yesterday did a very good Notion live stream where she was actually walking through with Nia on setting up her Notion for world building and stuff with the cast of characters and stuff like that. So that's the kind of stuff I wanted to include in my Notion as well. All of that to say that just make sure that you have your list and scratch it out on pen paper. I have a notebook I filled with pages upon pages of different lists of stuff I wanted to track and how I wanted to track it. So the other thing you want to think about is what are some things you might want to track in the future? You don't necessarily need to write these down, just kind of keep them in the back of your mind. You don't have to worry about them because everything can be updated. You can change things. Like I said, I have been working on my Notion project for about 2 years now, and I'm still finding things these days that I'm like, I want to change this. I'm going to completely redo this to go with the updates that Notion has added. And it's nothing is ever set in stone with Notion. All right, so let's see if this will show. I'm going to share my Notion. Tiff and Nia yesterday shared both of their Notions. Nia's is still being worked on. Tiff's looked excellent. The one thing I did notice was like, Tiff does not use dark mode like I do. I was like, oh, my eyes. Nothing against you, Tiff. That's a personal preference thing. And I am loving my dark mode. Do not take my dark mode from me. So here we go with my Notion. Hopefully you guys are able to see this. If you guys couldn't see my face, hopefully this will work because I want to show you what all I put in with my different lists. Yes, you can see it. Awesome. Cool. That makes things so much easier. So Brimstone Books is my publishing company that I publish with. And one of the things on my list was that I wanted a place where I could put everything. So down here, I have a list of current projects. I have my list of table of contents, basically everything writing related that I needed access to. I've got the list of my pen names, which isn't complete yet. They're supposed to link to different pages. They don't. They don't link to different pages. They're just there to exist. Then I've got some business stats. I myself write as a hobby. I am a hobby writer. This is not my career. So I'm not tracking anything finance-wise, which is another thing you might want to track in the future with your own Notion project. For me, myself, I just wanted to see like growth as far as like my social media goes. I wanted to see author stats as far as like how long it takes me to write different things. I do have a page here that is eventually going to become a list of cover artists I use and which covers I got from which people, because I am a cover fiend. There's been jokes on my channel off and on about the fact that if it's a pre-made cover, you better hide it from me because I am going to go check it out. I have 30 plus covers and only 3 books published. I'm just saying. So then the next thing I have is a bunch of images for like some motivation. Whenever I'm just having a very bad day, this is perfect for me. In her Notion video yesterday, Mods, you are fantastic. If you could leave a link to Tiff's video or live stream yesterday, that would be amazing because it goes into so much more detail of things you can add, like Spotify lists, Pinterest boards. I don't use either of those things. I'm very simple. Give me my pictures and I'm good. So I've just got my motivational pictures here. But some other things I've included was like a writing journal because I wanted to track what projects I was working on, what I was doing in those projects and stuff like that. I have also got my word count pricing because I wanted to make sure that depending on the word count of the books I'm publishing, I do hit a certain price point to make sure I get some kind of royalty back. So I've got that there. And then I've just got a little quick tracker that says published works, talks about what I've got published, whether they're short stories, collection, novellas, novels, or completed series, which I don't have any yet. I have got 2 series currently published. One has got 1 book out and one's got 2. So not there yet. And then from there, you can go into like my current projects. This I am constantly updating. So it's like a quick link to various project pages that I'm working on. So these are the 4 main ones that I'm currently processing, but all 4 of these are pages within my projects page. And you are going to get a sneak peek of what this looks like because I updated it with all the covers because it made me happy. So I've got my list of like I was telling earlier, with my list of series. I've got my list of novels. I've got my list of novellas. I have the 1 nonfiction project I'm working on, which is a writing prompt book. I've got my list of anthologies that I'm currently published in, some collections I'm working on, which is a bunch of short stories. And then I've got my short story list. So that being said, there is so much you can do with Notion. And I'm not going to go into detail of the projects themselves because I think what Tiff and Nia did in that live stream yesterday was like on point and perfect. I do plan on doing a for like a full-on not tutorial, but walkthrough of what I have actually set up. It is massive. It's too much for this video right now, and I want to make sure I have enough time for some Q&As. But like as far as like my pen name goes, there's not much here. It's got like a quote that I like to write because I write paranormal romance for the most part. I like to write about monsters who fall in love. And then I've got all my social media links for anyone who, so I have a place to come and quick grab them to give to people when they ask. The only thing I don't have on here is my link tree, which I do need to add. See, look, I'm constantly adding stuff. I've got my bio. Eventually, this will be a list of projects that are published, but I'm not there yet. As I said, constantly updating it. What's another thing I wanted to show? Like social media stats. I just check. This is very simple. I do this every year. My social media stats, what I'm sitting at as far as like, I check on the first day of every month. So tomorrow I'll be updating July's with my Instagram numbers, my author page on Facebook numbers, my YouTube, and my newsletter subscribers, which has jumped significantly this month thanks to the AWC. And yeah, I think that's all the major stuff. Plot Bunnies is just where I keep track of potential story ideas that I don't have any interest in writing until I'm like, they're fragments of ideas versus actual ideas right now. And then of course the writing journal has its own page. It's on this page, but it also has its own page that I can jump to so that I can just add stuff. And of course the calendar is actually one thing that Notion added in recently after I made this database. So I may play around with that and update that to calendar. We'll see how it goes. Not there yet. Not really worried about it. But as far as like some of this stuff goes, last week I did the 7-day book challenge, which is a quarterly writing challenge that I do. And as far as the journal goes, let's see if I can make this bigger. There we go. I just track like what I'm working on, what I accomplished. I tend to play music during my live streams that I can hear. So I put down the live stream music that I used, my word counts for the different sprints and what I did during those sprints, I think. And then if I do any writing off stream, I have that listed here too. Where is it at? There it goes, like after stream. And I use Pomodoro Kitty timers to sprint. So like I track so much stuff with my my Notion. And there is so much more you can track, especially for like those of you who are going to be going a TradPub route, because you can track your queries, the agents you have queried or will be querying in the future. You can track like what has been published to what publishing companies. This is what works for me. And what I love about Notion, Tiff showed in her live stream yesterday, that it starts with a completely blank page, is that Notion is so customizable based on what you need and what you want. It's fantastic. All right. So I think that's all. I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share. We're back to my face. I'm going to try the camera one more time, but I'm going to go and answer the Q&A now. So here we go. Let's see if there's any questions. If you do have a question, feel free to put that in with a Q at the front to make it a little easier to find. You're getting thanked in Sam's. Aw, that's lovely. I'm going to have to go back and watch Sam's because it was I think at the same time as mine or right before mine, and I missed all those streams because I was like panicking about this one. Another Notion. The fun thing is I do plan on doing like a complete walkthrough of every single page because like my series pages are separated differently than my my novel and my novello pages, and there's different information on each of those pages as well, but it's too much for this presentation. I would not have been able to get to a Q&A if I looked at that. Stream hoppers unite. Yes. Notion is constantly adding stuff. I saw something this morning where soon they're going to be adding, I can't remember what the features are, but they had a list of like 2 new features they're going to be adding in. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely adding that to my Notion. The screen is black. Oh, that was all about the fact that I'm having. Is it a conference if we're not having some kind of technical issue? I'm glad the audio is working though. I'm hoping maybe I'm on screen right now. If I'm not, I apologize, but at least the audio is working. I'm looking for cues. Remember, if you have any questions to keeping up with Notion, your 16th unpaid job. Like I said, I am constantly updating my Notion. I've been working on that for 2 years. Let's see, is the camera working now? You are not on screen. That's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and stop my camera so that I can put my lovely icon, but that means I can't show you my list because I still have all my lists of everything and how I worked on it. So when I do my tour, my full-on tour, I'm gonna have to show that. Yes, Tiffany had a fantastic presentation yesterday. I loved watching it. I divided my Notion page into 3 pages. What were the 3 pages out of curiosity? I'm just curious because mine has so many pages. And Tiff mentioned templates yesterday, and that has been a lifesaver for me. I don't remember how I made so many pages without using a template first, and it was just, it sucked. Oh, here we go. Question. How long did it take you to set up your Notion? I get impatient. Ooh, this is a double-edged sword question because when I first started playing around with Notion, I did not have my list ready and I was just kind of making pages as I go. And it was not working and not connecting the way I want it to because you know how you can have pages and pages and pages. That's the wonderful thing about Notion. Then I created my lists and it made things so much easier. Basically, what happened is I spent half a year making all this stuff in Notion, decided I hated every little bit of it, and scrapped it all and started over. It's been fantastic. I am the kind of person where if something is not working, I will completely trash it and start from the ground up again. And that is exactly what I did. But since then, like I said, as far as like the main pages go, once I had sketched out my ideas, which upsets me that I can't show you, it took me maybe a few months to actually get it built up, the baby basics of it where I wanted it. And then after that, I've just been constantly updating it and then adding stuff to it. Oh, thank you for the sub, Angel. Let's see. Now the question, how are you managing? I'm not, because I'm not writing under that many pen names yet. I am only writing under SD Haggis right now. One of them is an old pen name that is no longer published. Two of them will be future pen names. One I'm not even starting until 2026, and that's a collab pen name. It's me and a friend of mine. She is coming up with the ideas. I'm writing those ideas, and we are not going to be publishing anything under that pen name until a lot later. But that's not just current pen names. It's like previously published pen names too. And a lot of it's because they're different genres. Because like I don't want any of my erotica mixing up with my closed doors, sweet paranormal romance where like the short stories I just wrote for the 7-day book challenge last week were all like one kiss kind of thing. This is the last question. We are out of time. And I'll keep answering questions in the comments, but I'm going to go offline basically. Where did you start writing? You set up Notion from scratch. That is a long question I'm going to have to answer in a different video because it's going to be too long to explain. Do you keep a word count tracker? I do not keep a word count tracker in my Notion. Let's see, I really do want to answer that question about the start setting up because I don't remember where I actually started setting up. I kind of just played around with things until they worked. Going back to this question, like I said, once I played around with everything on scratch paper until it worked and just kind of scribbled out all of my ideas. And like I said, I will have a future video that goes into more detail about that. Anyways, thank you all for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and end this here because it is the top of the hour. And I know that we're going to be doing the closing session. Thank you for having me, Shannon, Margaret, Devin. Thank you for all the work you've done with the 2024 writing Authortube writing conference. And thank you to my mods who have been lovely in the chat. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this here. Bye, everyone. I'm waving to the screen like you guys can see me. Jeez. Bye, everyone.